the root cause of performance anxiety and how to address it so you can feel more confident and comfortable up on stage and give your best performances even under pressure. All right, my name is Joseph Arnold, and I'm a violinist, Alexander Technique teacher, author, and the director of the Soul Force Arts Institute. And today, I'm going to share with you some really unique, powerful perspectives and methods on what performance anxiety is, what is its root cause, what are some methods to relieve that root cause, and some next steps that you can take if performance anxiety is something you really suffer with and you want some support in that. So first of all, what is performance anxiety? Well, this is something that many of us are familiar with. It's very widespread, right? Getting up on stage in front of people, if you're a musician, playing your music or giving a talk or whatever it is. Some people call it stage fright or nerves, but essentially it's fear, right? You're up in front of people and you're feeling fear while you're doing your thing. You're exposing yourself. And this is a real problem for a lot of people because it can get so intense that you feel like you're dying, right? Your hands are shaking, you're getting sweaty and cold, and you feel terrible, maybe this tightness in your chest or your gut, and it just saps your energy, it saps your confidence, it saps your creative flow. And being a musician, what you want is that calm, confident stage presence. You want to be able to perform under pressure. You want to be able to play at your best. But because of all the symptoms of performance anxiety, where you're getting so tight and shaky and sweaty, then none of that can happen. And you're really not able to play at your best. You're not able to play fluidly, not be able to stand it with confidence up on stage. And your musicality can't really come through. So this is a really big issue. And a lot of what musicians do to address this doesn't really get to the root cause. So first of all, I used to experience this. I used to have crippling performance anxiety. And what I'm going to share with you today is what really helped me get through it. And so a lot of what people do, and what I did, and what I hear other musicians do, it only addresses the symptoms. It only works in the short term. So maybe you've tried some of these things where you're just pushing through. You're getting up on stage and you're afraid and you're just doing it anyway. And other people use beta blockers. And beta blockers seem to work for some people. But again, you're not really addressing the root cause. You're managing symptoms, and that over the long term can have, there can be side effects from using drugs, but you also don't really get to what I'll share in some of the deeper lessons today. There's actually an opportunity inside of performance anxiety to get to a deeper level of musicality. And if you do things like taking beta blockers or alcohol or other drugs, then you're missing an opportunity. And I'll explain what that is in a minute. And other ways that people deal with this are like beating themselves up. Oh, I shouldn't be feeling so anxious about this. Of course, that doesn't work. And you can go see psychiatrists about this kind of thing, and oftentimes that stuff helps. But a lot of times psychiatry, talk therapy doesn't really do the trick because you're talking about your issues rather than getting into the body, right? Rather than getting into the deep-seated emotions and trauma that are really behind performance anxiety. And so I share all that because we want to get clear on what kind of methods work and what don't. And what I'm going to share with you today is something that actually works. So what is performance anxiety really about? It's not really about being up on stage. It's about fear of judgment, fear of exile. That's really what it's about. Think of our evolutionary past. Humans lived in small tribes in the wilderness, and if you got kicked out of the tribe, you died. A hunter-gatherer would probably have a lot more tools available to survive outside of the tribe than us moderns do, technologically dependent people. But nonetheless, humans are ultra-social animals, and And if you get kicked out of the tribe, you're dead. And so, in a sense, performance anxiety is tapping into that evolutionary reality. When you're up on stage, you have all these eyes on you. And there's a part of that sort of really old part of your brain that remembers, oh, when I have a lot of eyes on me, that could lead to me being kicked out of the tribe and then dying. So this is why it can sometimes feel like you're dying up on stage, because that old neural circuitry gets stimulated. And so it really comes down to fear of judgment, fear of survival, life and death, right? But the good news is that you can address this by clearing out some of the emotions in the body, clearing out some of the limiting beliefs that accompany performance anxiety. If you clear those out, then you might still have like a heightened sense of being watched, a heightened sense of energy up on stage, but it's no longer going to be something that cripples your performance. You might still have, elevated heart rate a little bit, or just a heightened sense of energy. But again, it's not going to interfere so much. So the key is really to clear some of the limiting beliefs. Now, I'm going to lead you through a process of doing that right now. So limiting beliefs that are related to performance anxiety are often things like, I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable, or mistakes and failure are bad. Things like that. And so the first step is to identify what is the limiting belief underneath your performance anxiety. So you could kind of ask yourself, imagine yourself being up on stage, and you could sense the feeling of fear that you get in your body already, and just ask yourself, if this fear could talk, what would it say? And you'll get an answer like, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be safe, or if I make a mistake, everybody will hate me. So you're going to look for that kind of answer. All right, and then what we're going to do here next is I'm going to show you how to understand or get to the bottom of what's really behind that belief. Because when you get to the bottom of that, then you'll discover that there's actually positive intentions underneath your performance anxiety. And that can be really mind-blowing and life-changing. Because if there's positive intentions underneath your performance anxiety, even if it's right now feels really awful, then you can connect with those positive intentions in other ways, potentially. And when you do that, then you're not going to have performance anxiety anymore. So this really rests on the sort of cure for performance anxiety, really rests on understanding the positive intentions behind the performance anxiety. And that might seem really hard to believe right now because performance anxiety feels awful. How could there possibly be positive intentions behind it? But I promise you there are, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. So now that you've discerned your limiting belief, you can ask, let's say that there's a part of you, it's as if there's a part of you that believes X, whatever limiting belief. And we're going to have a sort of inner dialogue with that part of you. And again, what's fundamental to this dialogue actually working is assuming positive intentions, no matter how painful or maladaptive your performance anxiety has seemed. All right, so assuming positive intentions. We're going to have a sort of inner dialogue here. It's going to go something like this. All right, so you can ask the part of you that's holding on to your limiting belief, we'll call it X, what's important about holding on to that limiting belief? What does that part of you get from holding on to that limiting belief? And oftentimes you'll get an answer like protection, safety, survival, something like that. And the first thing to notice is that, whoa, those are positive intentions, right? So just acknowledge that those are positive intentions. You can even thank the part for holding those positive intentions. And then we're going to go a couple steps further. So we can ask the part, what's important about that thing that came up, let's say safety. What's important about safety? What do you get when you are safe, what do you then get? That kind of a question. And you just wait to see, wait to receive an answer. This is not about making up something. This is not about guessing even. This is having a dialogue with the part of you that's been holding on to that limiting belief. And so you might get another answer, maybe something similar to safety, or something like care, or love, acceptance, things like that. And so then you ask, well, let's say it's acceptance. So what's important about acceptance? And maybe you'll get an answer there, something like love and peace and joy or freedom, things like this. So it might take you, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 times asking this question, what's important about this thing that comes up? What's important about that? What's important about that? You're kind of going through this process, and you'll know that the process is over when you stop getting new answers. And your answers are universal positive intentions, like love, connection, unity, freedom, let's see. Connection, I already said that. The sacred, knowing who and what you are, things like that. So once you find those, whatever that is, let's say it's love, then what you can do is ask the part if it's interested in other ways of finding love that don't involve that limiting belief. And I find that this is a sort of a delicate phase of the process, so you have to be patient and gentle with this part of you. But if it answers yes, then you can check, well, do I still believe X? Do I still believe that? Do I still have that limiting belief? Because oftentimes, when the part of you is willing to find, or at least just like even hypothetically, be open to finding love or peace or whatever it is in other ways that don't involve that belief, then the belief spontaneously lets go. And if it doesn't let go, then there might be other parts of you involved, and you can do a similar kind of process. It's called the parts integration process. And then you can just do that as many times as you need to get to the bottom of the resistance behind letting go of the limiting belief. All right, there's more to all of that, but we only have limited time in this video today. And if you want to learn more about how to do that, you can reach out to me. I'll show you. So, but that's the basic idea. You get to the bottom of the positive intentions behind the performance anxiety, and then you recognize, oh, I can find that positive intention, love, peace, connection. I can find that in other ways. And once you realize that, then you let go of the belief. It just happens automatically. And then when you get up on stage, you're not going to have the same kind of performance anxiety. Now, I'll say one more thing before we start to wrap this up. There might be several parts of you that hold performance anxiety. And so you might need to do this process a bunch of times, thinking about different situations, different aspects of resistance to letting go of this or that limiting belief, maybe sort of different limiting beliefs that all support one another. So there can be a constellation of limiting beliefs. So it might take a bunch of trials doing this. But eventually, you'll be able to let go of all of that and be able to play confidently and comfortably and without any issue at all, even in front of lots of people. Even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you're uncertain about what you're playing, it's still possible to feel completely okay and loving towards yourself. And that's really the deeper lesson here. A lot of, I mentioned that a lot of people just sort of push through the pain or call themselves bad for having performance anxiety. But it's so important to address this anxiety, even if you don't have crippling performance anxiety, because of this self-discovery process that happens. It's what performance anxiety basically is is this disconnection from the love that you have inside you, the fullness of who you are. And if you perform from a place of disconnection, then that's what's going to come out in your music. Even at a subtle level, right? And is that really what you want to be putting out in the world? Disconnected music? So this is why stuff like beta blockers, it helps with the symptoms, but it doesn't really address the underlying disconnection. So what's so powerful about this process and other similar ones is that you get the chance to reconnect with your wholeness, with the love, and the play, the life that's inside you. And then that's going to naturally come out in your music. And isn't that what your music is all about? So this can be challenging work, but I so highly recommend that you engage in it. And here are some next steps if you are interested in that. So I have tons of tools around performance anxiety and injuries and tension and all kinds of performance blocks, burnout, self-doubt, the overactive inner critic. I have tons of tools, and I really want to help you and other musicians and artists like you relieve these, because it shouldn't feel this hard. You were meant to play freely, right? And so I want to help you. And so what I invite you to do, I have a free PDF on how to release 5 different performance blocks, like performance anxiety and tension and injuries. And you can find that for free on my website. You can go to soulforcearts.com/playingfreely. I'll put the link in the comments below. And you can get that PDF. And if you want more one-on-one help, then you can go to my website and click book a call, and we'll get to know each other, and I'll help chart your path towards playing freely. Because again, isn't that what you want? To be free from all of this? You can find out more about my courses and other offerings on my website as well. Okay, that's enough for now. I have a lot more to say about performance anxiety, so maybe I'll make some more videos. So subscribe to the channel, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.